Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are not just, skimming the surface. We're going all the way down.
All the way to the bottom of the ocean on this one.
We are cracking open a massive stack of, well, everything. Intelligence reports, personal logs, tactical readouts, all centering on this really pivotal moment in galactic history.
It is, isn't it? I think a lot of people assume the story ends after Endor.
Exactly. If you thought the war was over, if you thought the Emperor falling down a reactor shaft was the end of the story, you are in for a very rude awakening.
I'd argue it's where the real story begins. The easy part, blowing up the big super weapon, that's done.
Right.
Now comes the truly hard part, holding everything together when it's all trying to tear itself apart from the inside.
That's the perfect way to put it. We're looking at the events detailed in these Dark Force Rising excerpts. We're seeing the New Republic, which everyone thought was finally on solid ground, starting to crack.
Starting to fracture.
Yeah.
And it's not from some big external attack, not initially.
Not at first, no. It's from within. But on the outside, there's a new threat coalescing. A military genius named Grand Admiral Thrawn is putting the pieces of the Imperial remnant back together.
And this is the key point. He's not doing it with super lasers.
No, he's doing it with art, with psychology.
With patience. And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, I think. We're not just looking at space battles. Believe me, there are plenty of those.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking at information warfare. Thrawn isn't just trying to outgun the Republic. He's outthinking them at every single turn. He's turning their own doubts, their own procedures against them.
So the mission for today is to really unpack this precarious state of the galaxy. We've got political intrigue on Coruscant that honestly makes a nest of vipers look like a petting zoo.
It's brutal.
We've got a smuggler's run on a forest world called Merc that goes completely sideways.
We have a diplomatic mission to a ruined planet that will, it'll just break your heart.
It really will.
Bro.
And get this, we have a hunt for a legendary ghost fleet.
The Katana fleet, that's the name you need to remember. It's the centerpiece of this entire conflict.
We are absolutely going to get into that because it is such a wild story. Imagine this. A lost armada of 200 dreadnoughts that just vanished decades ago.
Vanished without a trace.
And the stakes are simple. If Thrawn gets them, he wins. The war is over. If the Republic gets them, they might just survive.
It's a race, isn't it? But it's a race being run in a minefield of betrayal and misinformation.
And the players involved, they're all pushed to their absolute limits here. You have Thrawn, who is just calm, polite, and absolutely terrifying.
Then you have this supposed Jedi master, Joruus C'baoth, who is incredibly powerful, but is, well, he's teetering on the edge of madness.
Completely unhinged. You've got Talon-Karrde, a smuggler who knows too much for his own good and is trying desperately to stay out of it.
Which never works.
Never works.
Yeah.
And then you have our heroes, Luke, Han, Leia, and they're all split up, they're scrambling, and honestly, in these reports, it really feels like they're losing on every single front.
They are consistently one step behind.
So let's not waste any time. Let's just jump right into the mind of the enemy. Let's talk about Grand Admiral Thrawn. And I want to start with the view from the bridge of his flagship, the Chimera.
That's the best place to start, because when you look at the source material, especially from the perspective of Captain Pellaeon.
His second in command.
Exactly. His number 2. You see this stark contrast to the old Imperial leadership. Pellaeon served under the old regime. He remembers Darth Vader. He remembers the Emperor.
Right, and the vibe under Vader was, let's call it stressful.
Stressful is a mild way to put it. You make a mistake, you disappoint Vader, you get force-choked in front of the entire bridge crew.
If you disappoint the Emperor, you get fried with Force lightning. Failure was fatal. It was a management style based purely on terror.
Utter terror. But Thrawn feels different. Pellaeon's logs are filled with this sense of confusion.
He didn't know what to make of him.
He really doesn't. Thrawn is polite. That's what's so unnerving to Pellaeon and the crew. He's culturally sophisticated. He studies the art of a species to understand their psychology, their blind spots.
And Pellaeon is constantly bracing himself for a reprimand, isn't he? He flinches when Thrawn asks a question because he's conditioned to expect the hammer to drop.
He is. He's waiting for the anger, the shouting, the punishment. But instead of a force choke, he gets a lecture. A lesson in strategy. Thrawn explains why a maneuver failed or why a decision was made.
He's a teacher.
He's a teacher. He fosters loyalty through competence, not fear. And you can see it working on Pellaeon. It creates this intense loyalty, doesn't it? Pellaeon stops second-guessing him because he realizes Thrawn always has a reason for what he does.
Which is a perfect lead-in to the Merkur operation. This is, I think, the first and best example of Thrawn's unique style in these logs.
Absolutely. The setup is really simple. Thrawn has his Star Destroyer, the Chimera, in a standard blockade position over the planet Merkur. He knows the smuggler Talon Card has a base down there in the forest.
He's got the troops ready. He has the walkers ready to deploy. The sun is coming up, which is the perfect time to attack, and he just waits.
He waits for a full hour, and you can feel the tension on the bridge through Pellaeon's perspective. Pellaeon is sweating. The bridge crew is getting restless.
We even have logs from General Covell, the ground commander.
Yeah.
And he's getting actively annoyed. He's ready to go. But Thrawn is just watching the clock. Why? Why wait?
Because Thrawn isn't interested in just blowing up a base. Any brute with a turbo laser can do that. Thrawn wants the network. He tells Pellaeon, and this is a direct quote, "I find it unlikely that a man of Talon Card's cunning would set up a base in the middle of a forest without also setting up security contacts."
Wow, right. In Hilliard City,
yeah,
the nearby settlement.
Exactly. Thrawn knows that if he just sits there, menacingly, being an obvious threat, Card's people in the city will start to panic. They'll wonder, why hasn't the attack started? Did he see us? Is it a trap?
They'll get antsy. They'll feel a need to do something.
They'll make a call. They'll try to send a warning signal to Card. And Thrawn is watching for that one specific spike in communication. He's using the silence, the inaction, to force the enemy to reveal themselves.
That's brilliant. It's like psychological warfare through boredom.
It is. And of course it works. He catches what he calls a twitch in the communications net, a tight beam transmission aimed at the forest. He identifies Card's contacts without firing a single shot.
So by the time he finally does launch the attack on the base, he knows it's going to be empty.
He's almost certain of it. He knows Card is too smart to just sit there and wait to be captured. So Pellaeon, very logically, asks the obvious question. Why attack at all if the bird has already flown?
Right. What's the point? You're just wasting fuel and resources.
And Thrawn gives 3 reasons, and they are so revealing of his character, of his long-term planning. 1, he says, Card might have made a mistake and left some valuable intelligence behind. Unlikely, but possible.
Okay, that makes sense. Due diligence.
2, the attack itself, the presence of troops on the ground, might flesh out even more of Card's contacts who might have been hiding.
Also logical.
But it's the 3rd reason that really, it sends a chill down your spine. He says his troops need field experience.
Field experience. He's using a live operation as a training drill.
That is exactly what he's doing. Thrawn explicitly tells Pellaeon that his stormtroopers, his army, need seasoning. He says, and again I'm quoting, "Our goal is no longer merely the pitiful rearguard harassment of the past 5 years."
Wow.
He is preparing to take planets back. He's planning a full-scale war. And he treats a raid on an empty smuggler's base as a live-fire training exercise for his ground troops. He's thinking long-term, strategically, while the New Republic is just trying to put out the latest fire.
That is genuinely chilling. It's so methodical. He's not angry. He's not vengeful. He's optimizing. He's running the Empire like a ruthlessly efficient corporation.
Exactly. And we see the same methodical approach in space combat, too. There's a tactical readout here of a battle where Thrawn hits a Republic convoy.
The one protected by A-Wing.
That's the one. Now, A-Wings are fast, right? They're interceptors. They are the hot rods of the New Republic fleet.
The fastest ships they have, designed to outrun and outmaneuver anything the Empire can throw at them.
But Thrawn analyzes the setup instantly. He looks at the tactical display, and he notes that by tethering these high-speed fighters to a slow-moving convoy of freighters, the Republic has completely neutralized their own biggest advantage.
The A-Wings can't use their speed because they have to stay close to protect the cargo ships. They're leashed.
They're leashed. So what does he do? He swarms them with TIE interceptors, which are almost as fast but more maneuverable in a close-quarters fight. He picks the A-Wing escort apart.
And then, this is the really twisted part, he doesn't just destroy the convoy.
No, this is the psychological part again. He strips the convoy of its defenses. He destroys the escort frigates and all the fighters. And then he lets the freighters go.
Just lets them run away.
It's brilliant and it's cruel. If he just destroys the freighters, well, it's a loss of cargo. It's a statistic on a report. The New Republic writes it off. But by letting the terrified crews survive and get back to their base,
They spread the story.
they spread fear. They tell everyone the Empire is back, they're coordinated, they're smart, and they toyed with us. They could have killed us at any moment. It completely undermines confidence in the New Republic military. He's fighting a war of perception.
Which brings us to the biggest perception hack of all time, the bank job, the frame-up of Admiral Ackbar.
This is pure, uncut strategic genius. The New Republic wakes up one day to find that Admiral Ackbar, the hero of Endor, the supreme commander of the fleet, a being of unimpeachable integrity, has a massive, unexplained deposit in his personal bank accounts.
Let's really dig into the mechanics of this, because it's not like someone just dropped a bag of cash. It's terrifyingly modern.
It is. Thrawn didn't just, hack a password. He utilized a team of slicers, that's their term for elite hackers, to bypass the encrypted exchange data of the Galactic Credit Standard.
And it wasn't a single lump sum, was it? That would have been too obvious.
No, and that's the brilliance of it. It was a series of microtransfers disguised as legitimate surplus allocations from various military budgets. It was spread out over months.
So it looked like Ackbar had been systematically skimming off the top of military supply chains for a long, long time. It was embedded in the history of the account.
Which is why the Provisional Council bought it. It played right into the growing narrative that the military was becoming this bloated, unaccountable entity. It looked plausible.
And you have to look at the fallout. Thrawn didn't need to assassinate Ackbar. In fact, killing him would have been a mistake. It would have made him a martyr.
It would have united the New Republic in grief and anger. But by framing him for treason, he paralyzes the entire leadership. The council starts fighting itself.
And Borsk Felia, who we will definitely get to in a bit, uses this as the perfect opportunity to launch a power grab.
The whole military command structure is frozen. They're unsure of who to trust. Thrawn effectively broke the New Republic's chain of command without ever stepping foot on Coruscant.
It's terrifyingly effective. So while the Republic is busy auditing bank accounts and holding hearings, Thrawn is out there hunting for the ultimate weapon.
Which means we need to pivot to the target of that hunt, Talon Karrde.
And his second-in-command, Mara Jade.
The two of them are a package deal.
Right. So we left them on Merkur. Thrawn is hovering overhead in the Chimera. Thrawn thinks that the base is empty, that Karrde has fled. But Karrde and Mara haven't actually left the system yet.
No, they're pulling a classic smuggler's trick. They're hiding their ship, the Wild Card, right up against a Sunskimmer asteroid.
Can you break that down for us? How does that work?
Basically, a large enough asteroid can create a sensor shadow. You park your ship on the side facing away from the enemy scanner, and the mass of the rock can confuse their sensors or block you entirely. It requires nerves of steel, because you have to sit perfectly still.
But the problem is, Thrawn isn't your average bored Imperial captain. Karrde is looking at his readouts, thinking he's outsmarted the scanners.
But this scene is so crucial because it's where we see Mara Jade's connection to the Force starting to reemerge.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. Mara was the Emperor's hand. She could literally hear the Emperor's voice in her head receive commands from across the galaxy. But since he died at Endor, it's just been quiet.
The line went dead. But now, hiding behind this asteroid, she feels a nagging sense of danger, a tingling at the edge of her senses. It's not specific, but she just knows Thrawn isn't done. She knows they aren't safe.
And Karrde is looking at his sensors saying, we're green across the board, we're hidden. But Mara insists they need to run. Now.
She urges Karrde to power up the engines and get out of there, which is a huge risk. The power-up sequence could create an energy signature that the Chimera would spot instantly.
So it's her intuition versus his logic, her gut feeling versus his instruments.
And this time, her intuition wins. Just as they're powering up, an interdictor cruiser, the constrainer, pops out of hyperspace right where they are.
Okay, for anyone who doesn't know, let's explain what an interdictor is, because it's a smuggler's worst nightmare.
It is an absolute nightmare. An interdictor cruiser doesn't have a lot of heavy weapons. Its primary function is to project massive artificial gravity wells. It generates gravity fields that simulate the mass of a planet.
And hyperspace safety protocols prevent a ship from jumping to light speed into a planet's gravity well.
Exactly. So the interdictor essentially forces every ship in the area to drop out of light speed and stay in normal space. It's a net. It locks down the whole system.
Thrawn anticipated the asteroid hideout trick. He didn't just scan for them. He locked the door behind them.
If Mara hadn't trusted that hunch, that flicker of her force sensitivity returning, they would have been trapped in that gravity well like a fly in amber. Game over.
They barely make it out. The logs say they jump to light speed just seconds before the gravity field achieves full power. It's complete nail-biter.
But during this chaos, this near-death experience, Karrde seems to have a revelation. He realizes he can't keep his secrets anymore. He has to tell Mara what's really going on. He reveals the big prize, the thing Thrawn is actually looking for.
The Katana fleet.
The Katana fleet.
We have to talk about this. I remember reading the first mention of the Dark Force name in these logs, and honestly, it just sounds like a ghost story they tell new cadets to scare them.
It basically is a ghost story. But a real one, and Karrde has the proof. So here's the lore, the backstory on this thing.
Lay it out for us.
Decades ago, back in the glory days of the Old Republic, before the Clone Wars, they built a fleet of 200 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers.
Now, Dreadnoughts are big, tough ships, lots of guns. But they were notoriously inefficient, right?
A logistical nightmare. They required huge crews, about 16,000 beams per ship. You basically need a city's worth of people just to fly one of them.
That's just not sustainable for a large fleet.
Not at all. So the Republic tried this radical, cutting-edge experiment. They outfitted all 200 of these ships with something called full-rig slave circuitry.
Which sounds ominous.
It does, but it was a technological marvel at the time. It allowed them to automate most of the ship's systems and slave the entire fleet together, controlled from a single flagship, the Katana.
So one command crew could essentially fly 200 ships.
Well, not quite one, but it drastically reduced the crew requirement. It went from 16,000 down to about 2,000 per ship. It was supposed to be the future of naval warfare, massive firepower with minimal manpower.
Okay, but then the Dark Force nickname started to make a lot more sense.
Yes. They painted the hulls a dark, non-reflective gray, which was unusual for Republic ships, but the name became truly ominous later. While the fleet was in port being fitted out, a fast-acting hive virus broke out among the crews.
Let's break down this virus because it's not like the common space flu. The descriptions in Karrde log are absolutely horrific.
It's a tailored neurotoxin. Imagine a virus that doesn't just make you cough, but it actively rewires your brain. It drove the crews into a paranoid frenzy. Some reports say it induced a kind of rapid-onset dementia combined with extreme aggression.
So you have 200 ships with almost 500,000 crew members all going violently insane at the exact same time.
Yes. In their final moments of coordinated madness, the command crew on the flagship, the Katana, slaved the entire fleet together and engaged the hyperdrives to jump to nowhere. Just a set of completely random coordinates.
And the entire fleet just vanished.
Yeah.
It jumped into the void with dead or dying crews.
200 heavy cruisers just ghosting through hyperspace. An instant legend, a ghost fleet.
And for decades, people assumed it was just a myth, a cautionary tale.
But Karrde found them. About 15 years ago, during a smuggling run gone wrong, he stumbled across the fleet by complete accident. He has the coordinates. He's been sitting on this galaxy-changing secret, maybe saving it for a rainy day.
Well, it's pouring rain now.
It's a hurricane. Thrawn wants those ships. The New Republic desperately needs those ships because, after disasters like Sluice Van, their fleet is stretched thin. And Talon Karrde is sitting on the winning lottery ticket for the entire galactic war.
But Karrde's whole philosophy is neutrality, isn't it? He's an information broker, not a soldier. He just wants to be left alone to run his business.
That's his problem. The galaxy isn't letting him stay neutral anymore. Thrawn has put a massive bounty on his head, 20,000 credits, dead or alive. And Karrde has this moment of clarity where he realizes that even if he doesn't like the New Republic's bureaucracy, Thrawn is fundamentally bad for business. You can't be an independent broker under a totalitarian regime.
You can't sit on the fence when the fence is on fire.
Exactly. The choice is being made for him.
Okay, speaking of things burning down, let's jump back to Coruscant. We mentioned the bank job earlier. The political fallout from that is getting really, really ugly.
It is, and at the center of that firestorm is Counselor Borsk Felia.
Felia is a Bothan. And for our listeners, Bothans are famous for their spy networks and their skill at political maneuvering. Felia is the master of it.
He's a political animal, and he is using the accusation against Admiral Ackbar to make a naked power play.
Right.
He's dressing it up in the language of accountability and civilian oversight, but it's clear what he wants. He wants control of the military. He wants Ackbar's chair.
And into this political snake pit walks Han Solo. He actually testifies before the Provisional Council, and I love Han in this scene. He's trying so hard to be diplomatic, but he just can't help himself.
He's watching his friend, a genuine war hero, get dragged through the mud for political reasons, and he can't stand it.
He's not built for it.
Yeah.
So Han defends Ackbar, of course. But he also drops a bombshell on the council. He tells them about the Grand Admiral.
Right. He saw Thrawn at the Sluis Van shipyards. He knows there's a legitimate, high-ranking Grand Admiral running the Imperial Remnant. How does the Council react to this critical piece of intelligence?
Denial. Complete and utter denial.
They think it's just a self-granted promotion. Some backwater warlord trying to sound more important than he is.
They just can't conceive that one of the Emperor's original 12 Grand Admirals, the strategic geniuses of the Empire, is still out there, active, and commanding a fleet.
And Failure dismisses it almost immediately because it doesn't fit his narrative. If there is a real, credible external super threat, he can't justify tearing down the military's top commander. He needs the threat to be internal treason so that he can be the hero who exposes it.
It's so frustrating to read. The enemy is literally at the gates, and they are inside arguing about bank transfers and political appointments. So Han and Lando decide they've had enough of the bureaucracy.
They go off the books.
They head to the planet Nukov. They have a suspicion that Failure has some shady business dealings in his past there, and maybe they can find some dirt to leverage against him and save Akbar.
And Nukov is, well, it's a weird place. It's not your typical civilized world.
No, the whole planet is basically hostile. It's a jungle world where the biodiversity is off the charts, but not in a fun touristy way. We're talking carnivorous plants, giant aggressive flora.
The cities, like Illic City, where they land, are these walled, domed structures. They're designed less to house people and more to keep the jungle out.
So Han and Lando arrive in Illic City trying to be discreet, and almost immediately they run into trouble. Han spots Failure's chief aide, a Bothan named Tav Bralia.
But before he can really investigate or follow him, Han gets captured. But not by the Empire?
No, and this is where the plot just thickens and gets so much more complicated. He's captured by a group led by a woman named Senna and her associate Irenes.
And Senna makes it very clear she's not Imperial, and she's not really aligned with the New Republic. She represents a third faction, an unknown player led by someone she only calls the Commander.
And this commander seems to have some serious hardware. But before Han can find out more, the Empire crashes the party.
An Imperial fleet raids Nukov. They launch an attack right in the middle of this clandestine meeting. But it's interesting, the logs show they aren't attacking the city itself.
They're harvesting the jungle.
Exactly. They're using specialized ships to steal rare biomolecules from the dangerous plants. It's another small piece of Thrawn's resource puzzle. He's gathering materials for something.
But Han and Lando are caught in the crossfire. They have to escape Illic City, but their ship, the Lady Luck, is parked at the spaceport, and they are, well, not anywhere near the spaceport.
But Lando Calrissian is always prepared. He had a custom modification installed on his ship, the Lady Luck. It's called a beacon call.
For our listeners who aren't pilots, can you break that down? What is a beacon call?
Think of it like a super advanced remote start for your car, but with a fully functional autopilot attached. Lando is running through the dangerous jungle, shouting into his comlink, and his ship essentially wakes up, lifts off from the spaceport on its own, and flies to his coordinates to pick him up while he's still on the run.
That sounds incredibly illegal in most sectors.
Oh, highly illegal. But when has Lando ever cared about regulations? It saves their lives. But as they lift off, they realize they're completely outgunned by the Imperial TIE fighters.
And that is when Senna's friends show up to the rescue.
3 dreadnoughts. Just like the ones from the Katana fleet, they pop out of hyperspace and make short work of the Imperial raiders.
So this is massive. This proves that the Katana fleet is real. It's not a ghost story. And more importantly, someone else has already found at least a few of the ships.
It completely validates Card's secret. And it means we now have a 3-way race for the prize. You have Thrawn hunting for the fleet, you have the New Republic who desperately needs it, and now you have this mysterious commander faction who already has a head start.
And amidst all this chaos, you've got blasters firing, ships flying, political backstabbing. We have Luke Skywalker.
Poor Luke. He seems to be having a very rough week.
He really is. He was separated from his X-Wing after the Sluis Van battle, so he meets up with Han and Lando on Nukov. But what really stands out in this section is a small moment at a cantina called the Mishra.
The mediation scene? This felt very much like a classic Western to me. The mysterious stranger walks into the saloon, just trying to mind his own business.
And trouble finds him. It's so good. Luke is just trying to lay low, have a drink, but a huge fight breaks out between a Barabel, a big reptilian alien, and a Rhodian over a payment dispute. And instantly, everyone in the bar turns and looks at Luke.
Because he's a Jedi.
He's the last Jedi. And you could feel the weight of that in this scene. The burden is immense. He's not a cop, he's not a judge, but the galaxy expects him to be King Solomon.
He has to step in and mediate a dispute about exchange rates between worthless Imperial script and New Republic credits.
Which is such a great world-building detail. It shows the economic chaos of the post-Empire galaxy, their competing currencies. Nobody knows what money is going to be worth anything next week.
And Luke hates it, you can tell. He settles the dispute. He even uses the Force to sense the guilt of a ship thief named Niles Ferrier and forces him to make things right, but you can feel his discomfort. He feels totally unprepared for this role of galactic arbitrator.
All he wants is to learn. He wants to know if there's anyone else out there like him, which is why he's been researching Joruus C'baoth.
The so-called lost Jedi Master, the Mad Master, as we might end up calling him.
So Luke found records of C'baoth in the Imperial City Archives on Coruscant. He was a legitimate Jedi Master from the Old Republic. He was famously involved in a disastrous colonization project called Outbound Flight. But there's a major problem with the timeline, isn't there?
The math just doesn't work. Winter, who is essentially Leia's aide and a kind of perfect memory human hard drive, points it out.
She's an amazing character.
She is, and she notes that if this man on the planet Jomark is the original Joruus C'baoth, he should be over 100 years old, or, more likely, dead.
And the personality profile doesn't fit either. The record shows C'baoth was arrogant, loved the spotlight, and was very involved in Republic politics. It makes no sense that he would have just hidden away for the entire galactic civil war.
But Luke feels he has to go. He's desperate. He needs a teacher. He needs to know if there's another Jedi left in the universe. So he makes the decision to head to Jomark to confront him.
And what he's flying into.
Hey.
Well, let's talk about Joruus C'baoth on Jomark.
This guy is just deeply unsettling. He set himself up as the ruler of the local populace from this place called the High Castle. He presents himself as this benevolent, grandfatherly figure.
But the people are terrified of him.
They are, and we get these excerpts that give us a glimpse inside his head. And it is a fractured, unstable place. He forgets details. He has these flashes of paranoia. He obsesses over what he calls flickers in the Force, which he senses are Luke and Mara Jade getting closer.
The most telling thing, though, is his relationship with Grand Admiral Thrawn.
They hate each other.
They absolutely despise each other. It's a marriage of convenience and a very tense one. Thrawn is using C'baoth for his battle meditation ability.
Let's explain that. It's an ancient, very rare Jedi ability. A Force-sensitive master can use the Force to coordinate an entire fleet, making thousands of soldiers and pilots act with a single unified will. It increases combat efficiency dramatically.
But C'baoth hates doing it. He hates being ordered around by what he calls a non-Force user. He sees Thrawn as an insect.
And Thrawn knows this? He keeps C'baoth in check with Isolamiri.
Right. These are crucial. Let's explain what Isolamiri are. They're these strange, salamander-like creatures native to Merkur, the same planet Talonkar's base was on.
And they have evolved this unique defense mechanism against Force-sensitive predators. They push back against the Force, they create a bubble around themselves where the Force simply does not exist.
So if a Jedi walks into one of these bubbles, his powers just switch off.
Completely off. No Force lightning, no telekinesis, no mind tricks, nothing.
Well.
Thrawn has his command center on the Chimera, and C'baoth's quarters lined with these creatures. It's the only reason C'baoth hasn't telekinetically strangled Thrawn yet.
He has him in a Force-proof cage, essentially.
But C'baoth has his own agenda. His price for cooperation is simple. He demands Thrawn deliver Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa to him.
And Leia's unborn twins.
Especially the twins. He has this dark obsession with them. He wants to mold a new Jedi Order in his own twisted image. He believes he is the true power in the galaxy, not the Empire. He thinks he's using Thrawn just as much as Thrawn thinks he's using him. It's a ticking time bomb.
So while Luke is flying straight into that lion's den on Jomark, his sister Leia is dealing with her own nightmare.
She's on a diplomatic mission to Onager, the homeworld of the Nogri, the same species of deadly commandos who have been trying to kidnap her on Thrawn's orders.
This is a mission of incredible honor and ultimately terrible tragedy. She goes with Chewbacca and C-3PO. She's meeting with C'baoth, the Nogri she managed to turn, or at least get to listen to her, in a previous encounter.
And she's banking everything on her one very strange piece of leverage, her status as the Lady Vader.
Because the Nogri worship Darth Vader.
They revered him. He came to their world after a devastating war and saved it, or so they believe. He promised to restore their poisoned planet in exchange for their service as the Emperor's personal assassins.
So Leia arrives in orbit of Onager, and the description of the planet from the cockpit viewport is just heartbreaking.
It's brown. It's dead. It's devastated. She looks out and sees nothing but ruin and pollution, except for one tiny, isolated patch of green that the Imperials have decontaminated.
And she realizes the truth almost immediately, doesn't she?
Instantly. The Empire Vader didn't save this world. They've been deliberately keeping it ruined for decades. They keep the Noghri dependent on Imperial food and technology to ensure their servitude. It's slavery disguised as salvation.
But just as they're processing this horror and arriving in orbit, things go completely sideways. A Star Destroyer appears.
And Chewbacca just loses it. He thinks C'baoth has betrayed them, led them into a trap. He goes berserk in the cockpit. And it's a terrifying moment. A Wookiee in a full rage in a very small, confined space.
And C'baoth, what does he do?
He doesn't fight back. Not really. He defends himself, but he doesn't kill Chewie, which he probably could have. He uses a stun weapon to knock him out. And he insists to Leia, "I did not betray you."
And he didn't. The Star Destroyer was just on a routine patrol. He uses his clearance codes to talk his way past the Imperial blockade. He gets them safely down to the surface.
But now Leia is trapped. She's on a planet occupied by the Empire, surrounded by a species of born killers who worship her father, the man who enslaved them, and she has to somehow convince them to undo decades of indoctrination.
The stakes couldn't be higher.
It creates this incredible tapestry of tension, doesn't it? The New Republic is fracturing from within. Han and Lando are on the run from the Empire with a new, unknown faction. Luke is walking willingly toward a madman who wants to corrupt him. And Leia is in the heart of the enemy's most loyal recruiting ground.
And the thread tying all of these desperate situations together is that ghost fleet, the Katana fleet.
It is the absolute centerpiece. Let's take a moment and connect all the dots here because we've got multiple factions now.
Right, it's not a simple two-sided war anymore.
Not at all. First, you have Thrawn and the Empire. They are organized, they are strategic, and they are actively hunting the fleet to deliver the knockout blow to the New Republic.
Then you have the New Republic itself, and they are a mess. Fractured, defensive, paralyzed by the Akbar scandal, and hemorrhaging ships they can't afford to lose.
And finally, you have the wild cards, the third parties. You have Talon Karrde, who has the location of the fleet. You have the commander and Sena, who have a few of the ships already. And you have Joruus C'baoth, who is a force of pure chaos who just wants to consume the Skywalkers.
So it's a resource war now, isn't it? A war for ships and for information.
Precisely. Thrawn is winning the economic war by raiding convoys and stealing resources like he did on Yukov. He's winning the psychological war by framing Akbar and sowing distrust. But if he gets the Katana fleet 200 fully armed heavy cruisers, it is over. He won't need to be subtle anymore.
So as we start to wrap this up, what does this all mean for us, for the listener? Why does this particular story from these excerpts matter beyond just being a really cool space opera?
I think it's a powerful commentary on the fragility of democracy versus the terrifying efficiency of authoritarianism. The New Republic is messy, it's loud. Failure is paranoid and ambitious. They spend their time fighting each other in committees.
It's slow. It's inefficient.
It is. And then you look at Thrawn. He's a dictator. But he's brilliant and he's efficient. He moves with a singular purpose. The story shows how easily a free society can begin to crumble if it loses trust in itself and its institutions. Thrawn isn't beating them with better lasers, he's beating them with their own mistrust.
That's a really heavy thought. It's so much easier to destroy trust than it is to build it.
So much easier, and Thrawn is a master of controlled demolition.
Before we go, I want to leave you, our listener, with one final provocative thought to mull over. We talked about how the Katana fleet was lost because of a hive virus that drove all the crews insane.
Yes, this horrifying neurotoxin.
And now everyone is racing to find these ships. Thrawn, the Republic, Karrde, this new commander, it's the ultimate prize. But here's the question. Is anyone asking if the virus is still on board?
That is the nightmare scenario.
Is it still active? Is it dormant in the life support systems? What happens if the war for the galaxy is won by a fleet that carries a dormant plague, ready to turn its new crews into raving madmen?
You could win the war and lose the galaxy all at once. The ultimate Trojan horse.
And consider C'baoth. Thrawn thinks he can control this mad Jedi with a few lizards in his room. He thinks of C'baoth as a tool to be managed. But can you truly cage a being who believes he is a god?
Thrawn prides himself on anticipating everything. He studies art to predict tactical maneuvers. But madness. Madness doesn't have a pattern. It's unpredictable.
Who is actually using whom in that relationship? Is Thrawn controlling the madman, or is the madman just waiting for the perfect moment to break his leash?
I don't think Thrawn has a piece of art that can prepare him for that.
We'll have to wait and see who breaks first. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
It was a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.